Today I'm going to demonstrate how to rappel using only a rope. There's a number of ways to do this, and I'm going to show you my preferred method. Rappelling is fun and it's safe if you're using proper gear and technique, including a helmet. Using only a rope is considered more of an emergency technique. Probably something that most people would never use. I do use this technique when I'm adventuring. It means I only have to carry a rope, and because I prefer low gear or old school techniques, I prefer this method. However, it's not the safest thing in the world. So, there's some key points to remember to make this endeavor safer, and I'll go over them one by one. First is to perfect your technique. I'm going to be going over a rather steep incline here, but when you first practice this, practice it at a rather shallow incline, where you can get the feel of letting out the rope, leaning back into it, and know that you're secure and that you really know what you're doing when you go over that edge. Number two is to use good rope, not the stuff you buy at the hardware store. Your life is literally on the line. So you're going to want to use climbing rope. This is designed to hold much more than human weight and to withstand a fall as well. So climbing rope, essential if you're going to be rappelling. One of the reasons this is not an everyday use technique is because climbing rope is expensive for most of us, and we're going to be getting our rope in the dirt. It's going to be going around a tree. We're not treating it very well. All those dirt particles get in between the weave and slowly degrade the rope. You don't want to be using that over and over until your rope is getting weak or frayed. Again, remember, your life is depending on your rope. Then be sure to clear your route. And what this means is that if you're not wearing a helmet and you've gone over the cliff edge with your rope coming down, if your rope knocks something, a rock say, from the top of that cliff lip, and it falls, when it hits you, it's going to hit with a large amount of impact. It's going to be a quick way to end your adventuring days forever. So, as you're coming to the edge, using your feet to clear away any rock or debris that you feel might be in danger of falling, and as you're descending, to be watching for other items that also could fall on your head. Clear those away with your feet before you come to them, and your route will be clean. To begin, I'm going to uncoil my rope and wrap it around the tree, clearing debris right from the beginning and making sure that once my rope is around that tree, that it moves smoothly. If it catches up, I'm going to be having a hard time retrieving my rope from the bottom. For this rappelling method, it can be useful to mark your rope with a piece of tape at the halfway point. That will aid you when you're unraveling and knowing when to start on the other end. This will not be a knot video, so I'm going to do a very simple knot. These are my two ends. I like to knot them just so that when I'm throwing this over the edge, it stays together. Especially with this edge, there's a lot of sticks and other stuff on the way down, and so a really good chance that one of my ropes will make it to the bottom, the other one will end up halfway and get tangled up in some stuff. This tends to keep them together more. The disadvantage or risk of doing this is that if you throw it down and you have to pull it back up, you can always get it hooked on a branch and give yourself some difficulty. So this is just the way I prefer to do it. Throwing this over the edge, if you can see the bottom, trying to mark the place where you're going to land it, ensure that you don't get it caught up in any sticks or other debris on the way down. You want to recall that because you are looping the rope, using two ends going down, that you're cutting the length of your rope in half. So, you want to make sure that you have enough length to reach the bottom. In this case, I have a very long climbing rope. I have plenty for the entire descent, but there have been times when friends of mine have been caught partway down a cliff with not enough rope, and that puts you into a sticky situation. Making sure that my rope has nice movement around the object that I've selected. Making sure that the object has no sharp edges that are going to cut the rope. Ensuring that I feel that this object is strong enough to hold my weight. Whether it's a tree, a rock, boulder, or other object. I'm going to be demonstrating how to hook this up. I'm lifting the rope up on the tree, and I'm going to be doing it upslope, just so that you can see how it's done. The ropes are coming, going underneath my armpits. And I'm crossing that and back. Then I'm stepping over each rope. Here's a demonstration of that stepping over it, stepping over it. This is to get this rope to come down to my groin. This rope then is coming out to the side. I'm going to wrap it once and hold it here. And this is how my weight is supported. On the incline, I'm bringing this behind, crossing it over, and stepping over, stepping over. Those two ropes come down behind my groin. I'm going to wrap once. Now is the time to get the feel, what it feels like to be in this makeshift harness. If I release with this, I start to fall backwards. One of the advantages of this method of rappelling is that I have one hand free. I can hold here for a sense of security, or my hand can be up. If I've missed a piece of debris and it falls, I at least have a chance of blocking it to the side. When you're practicing on an incline, you want to let yourself lean back. Most people want to hunch forward, and that makes it so that it's easy to feel like you're going to slip right out of this and you're going to be scrambling down the slope. Your life is depending on the rope, so relax into it. There is going to be a decent amount of friction on your back where these ropes are moving. So this is not a painless technique. You're going to want to make sure that you're wearing more than just a tank top, because the rope burn, even at a very slow speed, is intense. Not the right way to do it. Again, an emergency technique. So it means it's going to be uncomfortable and you're dealing with some different associated risks and dangers. It definitely holds you. You can relax into it. On the way down, again, really making sure I'm watching for anything that's going to fall. And I'm clearing that out of the way. When I get to the bottom, making sure I'm on secure ground before I release. Here's one of the great advantages of this technique. Now, I can collect my rope instead of leaving it up top. I made a very slow descent. Still, it ate up my wrist a little bit. And that's what that rope will do to your flesh, even when it's moving so slowly, because there's so much friction. So it's not a just for fun activity. There is another way that has a German name that I can't pronounce. It's very fun to try to pronounce it. I will spell it out right here. That method is considered to be not as safe as this method. I do sometimes use it because I feel that it gives a little bit less friction point on my body, so it's more comfortable for me. However, there's more risk of falling out of the makeshift saddle. So this is probably the safest way to rappel without a harness. Again, like any new skill, start in a non-risky way. You can even practice it on the flat. Find a place where you can do it at a light slope. And the first time that you do a full cliff, make sure it's not very far, because you're going to experience something very different with the friction and the intensity that brings. So start small, work your way up. Be safe, happy adventuring.